I wanted to check and make sure we were on so that people can keep up with us. What I am saying this Tuesday is that we have been doing many other practices because this last week was a week of loving kindness and compassion, particularly self compassion practices in retreat. We had some new folks, which was lovely and complicating. Can all be true because they were not familiar with the practices. So they put me through some good paces. Uh, we were doing a lot of explaining. Um, and I got some insights about that I'll start with the board to share, and then we'll go forward on that. But I think going back to the four Dharma seals can be of benefit for our Encinitas mindfulness community. And I think there's a couple reasons. One is these are the four essential truths beyond the Four Noble Path that will assist you in your everyday life, from my point of view, in their just recollection, just remembering that life and all things are impermanent, that it is not, that you yourself are not a single solid fixed entity, that everything is in a process, that process is continually changing, moving. And in the chapter, he spends a fair amount of time going all the way to the particled process. Did anybody see that? All the way down to electrons, atoms, and neurons, saying there is no constancy. Even in this, they are ever changing and being modified as well. I do know the truth of this. Um, Also, I suspect you do as well, though I don't think you know it from maybe a physics point of view. Don't know if it's that useful. Uh, I do know that you know it all the way to the hairs on your head, to the shine of your teeth, to the way you're sitting in your chair, to the whole of your life, every relationship, um, everything you possess, that there is no exception. I would say this is true, though they say the one permanence is love. I would say it is true. I would also say it doesn't look like the same thing because love is responsive. Love is neither static, is it? It's not fixed. It's not yours. And so it actually meets the criterion, I think, rather beautifully for the four Dharma seals. There's nothing about it that is just yours either. It is an ever expanding, ever growing, ever changing process. You are a contributor to that. Um, but I don't even think we could truly say that love itself uh, is permanent. I think we could say then that it is always in its appearance, in its potential, very much like I think we would say the very same then about something like enlightenment. It's always here, it's always available with the right seeds, the right water, the right temperatures, the wisdom of you, the open heart of you. I think it is always available. Like I feel the very same about love. So, just in that short statement, are we recollecting the importance and the value of the Dharma Seal recollections? Can you see why calling those to mind, just like the five remembrances, right? These are things that it says reflect on this daily. And the number one is that all things are impermanent and changing every moment. Is there anybody who's done that yet? No, I already know that you haven't, so you don't even have to say anything. Why? It's difficult. It's painful. It's confusing. It's not very securing. It doesn't stabilize us to the solid objects that we prefer to attach ourselves to. And so the recollection isn't anyone's favorite. Though the Buddha said, and we will review it, that of all the things to contemplate, that this is the supreme, this reality of impermanence. And so I'm going to ask everybody to make sure to do that at least once a day. Everything changing, everything in constant um, transformation, everything, uh, nothing solid, not even me or this idea of me, not this idea of love or the idea of love, not this idea about the partner, about life, about death. It is ever expanding, contracting, changing. And so, can everybody make that commitment once a day? I like the beginning of the day because I like to start the day with a little more freedom, a little more sense of spaciousness and liberation. And I get that going, there's nothing really to hold on to. My husband and I are supposed to go for a coffee at 8:30. Okay, I hope so. And what's the truth? Everything can happen between now and now. There is no 8:30. It's simply merely an idea, but and then we get pretty aggravated. Anybody notice how unhappy all those travelers are with the 5,000? I don't know if anybody knew there's like 5,000 cancels and flight changes. And I don't know if anybody saw those folks. They were not smiling. There was not one smile in that group. There wasn't anybody in that group going, change is ever occurring. Here we are in the midst of change. I'm probably not making that wedding that I am supposed to uh, be the right for. Uh, but wouldn't it be a beautiful start? Wouldn't it be a beautiful start? What was I imagining? And then we get angry. And then from our angry, we get violent. And then from our violence, we begin to other and then go, whose fault is it? Is it the airline? Is it the passengers? Is it the weather? We get mad at the weather. We, right? I hear people swearing at the weather. Right. Those clouds, that wind, this snow, that rain, this. Now, by the way, it doesn't mean there are not consequences to this reality, because in the ever changing reality of weather, there is also the ever changing reality of your safety and your well being. Isn't it true? Yeah. And right? And so, is there anybody who doesn't see the benefit in our daily everything changing, every breath, including me? Anybody see the freedom in that? Yeah. Isn't this encouraging? Everything changing, every breath, including me. What an infinite possibility that is. How exciting. Because I actually want to be just a little more benefit in the next breath. Wouldn't that be amazing? Now, I don't often hit that target, but I'm shooting for it pretty regularly. And I do a lot of expanding the heart when I don't. Like, yeah, a little too tired. Well, probably pushed that one. You probably shouldn't have gone in the first place because you kind of knew that you really weren't up for that when you went, right? But I'm learning. And I think we're learning together. So I'm very excited about this. So every day, the very first thing to say, eyes blinking, eyes blinking. What am I saying? Life, here it is, ever changing, nothing static, fixed, or stable in any moment, not even me. What an amazing day, I would add. This is because nothing is predetermined other than your mind. And you get to decide how that goes. I'm going to look at chat just to make sure we're staying up with each other, and then we're going to go over some of this stuff.
Hey,
Yep. Yep. Nice to make things when we can. By the way, sometimes you can, nobody likes this. Nice to miss things. There is a benefit. Not just because you didn't like the thing, right? I missed my 50th reunion. I was all right with that. That didn't bother me at all. Um, the truth is, what a possibility this is. How do I love now? How do I stay open hearted now? How do I stay present to where I am so that I can be of benefit, certainly to myself, maybe to whatever other beings are around me? This is amazing and a fresh, new, unpredictable, just here opportunity. Most of us can't do it. Most of us can't do it. But I would like to see us train for that.
hey, Di,
Yeah.
can you? I feel like there's a difference between lowering your expectations and what you're saying about opening our hearts,
That's
but
right.
somehow I'm not quite clear on that. Like, I feel like if my expectations aren't met, then do I meet that with an open heart, or do I just not have that expectation? do, you, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they're all potentially skillful.
Oh, okay.
So we would call recognizing the fact that you have an idea about how it should go mindfulness and wisdom, wouldn't we? We'd say, hey, you know where you are. This is pretty handy. If you can recognize your own expectations, I see that as an infinite amount of wisdom, because then you can decide whether to hang on to that rope or not, because generally it's guaranteed to burn you. That's one. So our own mindfulness, where am I, how are things inner and outer right now? This is a beautiful wisdom, A. And then B, and what are we feeling for? What do we open our hearts to then? The suffering we feel when we can't do it. Can I come back to me and go, wow, the burn of wanting what I wanted and not having that work out? Because you're still expanding something there, including your mindfulness, aren't you? You're not shut down. You're not lost in it. You're going, can I feel for myself right now in this moment of challenge, difficulty, confusion, the thing I didn't want, the thing I don't like? You don't have to lie at all. It's not useful. You certainly don't need to feel for the expectations. They needed to die anyway because they were actually the cause of your difficulty. The fact that you propped them up, solidified them, and then said, this is the way it's supposed to go.
Wish I'd had this before I went to the wedding.
Oh, yes, because then you could just enjoy the love that's there, recognize the family drama. That's the drama that's there. This moment, by the way, doesn't last, it's ever changing, doesn't even, right? Doesn't even, I've been using my cousins as the example. And I talked to my Aunt Susie and I hear how they're all now scheduled to come every week, with one of them staying overnight every other week. And I think, ooh, what a lovely change. Because there was a little bit of stasis in the right circumstance of just not wanting to see because it was painful, right? Their parents' diminishment. And did I get that? I got that completely. I got it completely. And in fact, they were able to direct some anger at me, which I think became a certain kind of energy. If you're mad at somebody who's 3,000 miles away, what are you going to do with that? Well, I guess I'll go see him. So this all feels like it worked out just wonderfully. Do I have any? Remember, I let go of the expectations. They may do nothing, right? It's not mine. I'm going to do something. That's mine, with my Aunt Susie. Um, and so there we go. And so no suffering, no suffering. Doesn't mean I'm still not sad about my uncle's circumstance, but again, it is somewhat understandable, predictable. We have a family pattern, uh, right? The men in our family do not live past 85, really. Um, and so it doesn't mean that's fixed, solid, and certain either. And yet there is some evidence. So we're going to go on. So the Dharma seals, anybody, can you rattle off what those are? Impermanence, we're going to try to get these into little short tags because they're easier to remember, I think, than the impermanence number one. What could we say for number two? Tainted. I would just say conditioned. How about that? Everything's impermanent. Everything comes from a confluence of factors, ever changing. Tainted just simply means nothing I can grab onto. Everything in this conditioned state is likely to cause my suffering if I only, otherwise, ever changing, including me. This is our morning prayer. Everything, including me, tainted by what? Fixed view. Fixed view. I want it like this. I want the body like this. I want the idea of me like this. I want them like, right. So we could say conditioned could be number two. Impermanent, everything conditioned, aggregate, not fixed, not solid, changing every moment. Not self would be number three. Nothing is mine. Nothing can be kept. Nothing fixed. Not even my ideas about how horrible I am. Not just how great I think I am. How none of it's true. It's all a delusion, right? And so non-self, not self, could be number three. And then peace, I want us to say peace. I don't want us to say nirvana. None of us know what that really means. Peace. If we can follow the first three, peace is not only possible, we have created it. If we can open to the first three, then peace. Can everybody see how those would flow into each other? Right? I already know everything's changing. I already those nothing's fixed, nothing I can grab onto. There is no I to grab it. Anyway, everything in its aggregate form is another word that we use. Aggregate meaning a compound, a composite, a parts. And Sodargi says it. He uses lots of words like that to go nothing in any solid. Everything is made up of parts, including the hand. So there is no hand here. The hand is a set of parts. What are the parts? What are the parts? Fingers. What else? Skin. Bone. Blood. Cartilage.
Particles.
Particles. Atoms. Synovial
Joints.
fluid.
Tendons.
Joints. Hair.
Yeah.
Nail.
Sure. Joints and tendons.
Right? And are they changing? So is there any solid joint here?
No.
Is there any solid nail? Nope. Is there a hair that's fixed? Nope. Is the blood solid? Not at all. Is it changing every breath? Absolutely. Faster than you can comprehend is actually the truth of this. Zeptoseconds. You can't even get, it's the millionth of the millionth of the millionth. You can't even get a hold of the idea. And I can't either. Right? And so then we go, not only hand, what do we add to it? Diana's hand. What? We fix that. And now, says Sodargi and the suttas, we are in certain suffering, aren't we? We're in certain suffering. Where is the peace? Only in the release. that this is not fixed. This is not mine. This is not me. I cannot hold to this as I. And then we get really quiet. Don't we get quiet? Because we go, ugh, that's hard. And the beauty of those truths is that the peace that we are capable of comes from then feeling for ourselves and each other in this struggle. Right there. There is just self-compassion and compassion. What else could, because you can't fix it, you can't change it, you aren't going to be able to avoid it. So what can we do with these essential truths? And the continuing chapters will say, be with ourselves and then others in the truth of this. And that in that, there is also peace. Can you see that? There is also peace. This is not just me. This isn't my lousy circumstance. This is the truth of loss, the truth of pain, the truth of grief, the truth of change in all things. And if we could get softer, I think that would mean we'd have to cry more. Don't you? I don't think we could keep it off. Your heart would break. And that is not understood to be a failure or a problem or a deficiency. It's understood to be really, in some way, some of the greatest strength that we're allowing the truth of this life in. And it is going to break all your ideas about what should be solid. Anything about that? Do we see how self-compassion and compassion become the second essential ingredient next to our mindfulness and our wisdom? And if you're not doing that, what are you doing? And what's the answer? If you're not doing compassion, self-compassion, which is simply a form of love, what are you doing?
Stressing.
Yeah, and hurting yourself and others. Right? You're hurting yourself and you're hurting others in it. And it's a thing we make a commitment to, don't we? Every day. Let's not cause harm. At the minimum, let's not cause harm. Well, that means we're going to have to feel things we maybe didn't really want to feel, and we're going to have to stay with them, which is a training. We can work on that. And then the other thing is let the heart open and let it break. And then in mental health, we call that psychological flexibility. I like that word. Is that like the driest word? Stupidest? Psychological flexibility. What it means is you're going to suffer less. Actually, I just don't like the way they kerneled that up. Psychological flexibility. Yeah, and it's true. Then besides. So beyond these four seals that we've talked about, and I don't want to go over them more, I do want to go to the three forms of suffering because we did not cover that well. And I think there was some confusion about it. So I want to review that. And that is, let's see, probably, where would this be in the notes? It would I don't know if it's in the notes. We might have to go to the book.
Yeah, it's not in the notes,
I didn't put it in the notes, did I?
No.
All right, we'll go to the book on that because I want us to make sure, and then we're gonna.
The 3 types of dukkha, that's in the notes you sent out last night.
Where is that? Oh,
Under,
dukkha as a one of the seals.
Yeah.
There it is, Jean, under part 3. It's just not explained, Carrie. That's right. So the forms of suffering And we've just really named them, by the way. But it says this is the types of suffering we can have. The suffering of suffering, I think, he says, or something like that, close to that. The suffering of suffering, not the suffering of pain. I probably would have said the suffering of pain, to tell you the truth. Why? Just a part of life you can't get out of. I define suffering a little differently, as resistance to the truths that we don't want to. He calls it the suffering of suffering and says, what is this? This is the suffering over life that is unavoidable, right? The life we're all going to experience, the reality of change, the reality of those three seals that we're in chronic, constant resistance to. But suffering of suffering is, this should not be happening to me, right? This loss, this change, this impermanence. I'm calling it continuation now, because I think impermanence fixates on something. The second arrow, yes. The second arrow is the one that resists the truth of the present moment, just as Greg said. And so the suffering of suffering is that second arrow in the sutta that said, not only was I shot by the first arrow, causing the pain it would naturally cause. This would hurt. This would hurt. I'm causing additional suffering to myself because I am resisting, denying, blaming. I'm going into some kind of contraction of heart rather than, can I, remember what the possibility is? Can I open to the truth of this, not only for myself, by the way, it didn't hurt less. It hurt exactly like it hurt. This is not our problem. Libby's sitting over here just having gotten a week out of her surgery. Parts are not feeling great still. They're still uncomfortable, some more than others, and it's changing, right? And the truth is, this isn't the problem. It's not the problem. And nobody likes it. Not me either. Right? And the problem is not this. It's how can we attend to this, be regarding of this, take good care of ourselves and each other in this. This is one heart-opening possibility. But more commonly, we are going, this should not be happening to me. And this is certain to cause suffering. And then it's propagated by our evidence-seeking selves that go, this isn't fair because it's not happening to you. Anybody knows that beautiful? Solidifying the suffering. See, I know it's wrong because not everybody had to have kidney surgery. So what did I do? Nothing. That's just your karmic conditioned aggregated play of things. What are the causes? Infinite. We couldn't name them all, but we like this idea too. Anybody knows how we like to use karma? To go, I know how that happened. I know how that happened. Because they're idiots. That's how that happened. If they would have only X'd, this would not be happening to them. And it's not true. It is going to happen to them because it is going to happen to you, and it won't matter what you're eating. And it won't matter how many squats you're doing in a day. It's all going to happen to you. And then they're like, what? How? Right? So we either blame the victim, we blame ourselves, we blame life, but we're always going, something's wrong. No. Suffering of suffering is there's nothing wrong. You just don't like it, neither do we. So can we hold ourselves closer in the truth of it? So keep that one in mind. You're going to notice this in your own life. That's those travelers who were believing the flight should be on time. And I do get the idea, because it certainly would be more pleasant. And it doesn't mean it's consistent with the conditioned realities. Suffering of change. The pleasant turns painful. We have a fabulous chocolate cake sitting up on the counter that we had for two friends' birthdays on Sunday. And the first day we ate that cake, it was pretty good. Now I'm looking at that cake like, bleh, ugh. Like where and how do we, what do you do with it now? Where does it go? How do you get rid of it? What people often are distressed about is not that. They're distressed by the fact that there's no more cake. It's the same, isn't it? See, whatever my the pleasant has now become unpleasant, mostly because of its diminishment. No matter what you're doing, you can't just keep eating truffles, says Pema Chodron, and have each one of them taste as delicious. It just won't happen. You'll just go, another one, ugh, now I don't feel good. So the truth of suffering in the pleasant moving to the unpleasant, or not being able to stay, which is all things, no matter how beautiful, no matter how amazing, no matter, right, next moment is changing as well. And then all pervasive suffering, he says, this is essentially from ignorance. Our ignorance and our continued propagation of that ignorance, that wanting or that not wanting, and that nature of mind that we are also all subject to is also going to contribute. So even when you may be saying, I can accept this, there is a truth about the habituated quality of mind that we have to watch that can step in for us. And that is primarily our own ignorance, which, by the way, all of us have right now, don't we? I don't know everything. You don't know everything. Even when we're paying attention, often we can only know a particle of a truth, right? And we can build on those by watching and being mindful and attentive every moment. And really, once again, given the all-pervasive reality of suffering, the real antidote is our compassion practice. We aren't going to get this all cleaned up, no matter how well.
And do they mean the ignorance that you're not aware that all things change, or you're not accepting of all things change?
The pervading ignorance of being alive. I'd say it's even bigger than the ignorance of the other three seals. That's certainly a part of it. Just the ignorance of being alive as well. That you are born not knowing, and even in your knowing, and even in your wisdom, and even in your mindfulness, there's a limit. You can't know, you couldn't know what getting out of a surgery would be, no matter how mindful you were all the moments before. And that's just an essential element of being alive, I would call it. Okay. Sharon Salisbury, we looked at the quotes. I don't want to go back over that. We looked at the non-self. I think we're good. I just want to make sure we went over that because we're going to be watching for those where we get hooked. Where do we get hooked in this? But it, and I hear myself say but, and I know every but I come up with is a part of me stabbing myself because but what? What's the answer? But what? Nothing. There's no but at the end of it. But this is hard, but no, it can be hard. It's a truth. And can I now feel for the truth of this? And the answer is, I think we resist. We try to rationalize. We try to paste over. We do a lot of distraction. We do a lot of going on to get something else without taking the time necessary to allow the experience, the loss, so that we can attend to it, right? So that we can attend. We're going to look at that a little bit now and where we once again resist these realities of change. What is the main resistance to change? Number one resistance is to change itself. Somebody would say the word I don't say anymore. Somebody would say death, but that's not actually correct because we also like death because we like the new moment. right? We want the new car. That means you had something died, the old one. It changed you, right? But we have a tendency to look at that side and call it death. I don't think so. I think it's all change. I think it's the change of the things we love. By the way, even when the thing is lovely, even when there's a thing that's better. Again, I'll just use the surgery. Well, the good news is, hey, out of this thing I didn't particularly like, good things. And we don't hold on much to, right? Because what? Well, pain by our central nervous system's nature is going, yeah, but this, I got to go through this to get to that. Can't I just have that? No, because no one is going to have it. Nobody. And no matter what you do. So I don't want to set us up. And that ignorance gets us in trouble. And the God realm folks, we all happen to be in that party. It says you will go round and round and round in this God realm because you can't unhook from that fabulous idea that if I just got it right or made enough money or had a husband or did the right work or right, if only I laid less and if just, that somehow I could get this right. And so in the teachings, it says in the God realm's the toughest and it's the most pleasant. But you will succour to the pleasant and get stuck here. Because it will also mean we give some of that up. It's not always going to be pleasant. We would and go, right? Won't always be pleasant. I'm going to read this and then we're going to set. The incorrect belief that something, everything should be permanent, even though nothing in the, this is exactly right, Greg. It's the number one delusion. And that's the primary ignorance. The suffering, the all-pervasive suffering is that we are born with this. We are in this human realm born with this. Semisonic, every new beginning, an old beginning ends, yes. It's always true. One thing comes from another thing in its changing form. This is right. Let me see if I missed anything else. Nope. Okay. Let's sit. We're going to look at, in the sitting, our attachments. You might feel them. You might notice a distraction. You might notice forgetting the instructions. Like, I don't really want to think about that. It is why the Buddha himself did do not only contemplation of death, impermanence, and change. He did actual death practice work, which included the body dissolving, being in the charnel grounds, watching body get eaten by raptors that then created poop that then fed the plants, and the progression, continuation of all of these things. And we're just going to be naming some to see if we can't make contact with where we get a little gripped. And then what do we do in the grip? What's the practice in the grip? Because we aren't doing it, but there is a primary practice we're going to start now. What is the practice once you notice the grab, the grip, the ignorance, the attachment, the aversion? All of this we're going to call the same.
Breath?
Breath? No.
No.
Yeah, you can use the breath, Robin. You can use it, but that's not the point.
Okay.
Self-compassion.
Yeah. And yes, can we be self-compassionate with the breath? Yes. You can breathe in for yourself in this moment of difficulty, grip, greed. Yes. So we can use the medium of the breath. So Robin, it wasn't true that you were wholly wrong, but there's a practice there. And the practice is, can I feel for myself? And all those who are going to know this change, who are going to know loss, who are going to know death, who are going to know grief, who are going to know sadness, because there is not one of us who can escape this. Right? Yes, Jean.
I don't know if this is appropriate or not, Diana. I feel like you're downplaying the benefit of the recognition of impermanence.
I am so far.
Okay.
You are correct. Why do you think, Jean? There is an absolute upside
There's a huge upside.
to acceptance, right?
And to, for me, the broadening of the realization, every effing thing.
That's
You
right.
know, I
Yes.
say, oh, I'm moving back to California. And in my mind, I know maybe, maybe not. You know, like you said, you're going to have coffee with Alidate there. Yeah, maybe you are, maybe you're not. It's like, oh my God, the freedom.
Yes. You know why I don't talk about it? Because people get attached to the idea, Jean, and then they don't stay present for the thing that comes before it.
Okay.
And guess what comes before it?
The fear, the nervousness, the anger,
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Now, by the way, in the Four Seals themselves, they say, oh, by the way, we're heading to peace.
Yeah.
It's right, written right in there. Except nobody wants to do steps 1, 2, and 3 to get to it. So I don't go, now, by the way, we will, but I want you to experience that. I want you to get in there with change and go, wow, I just was like, who knows? The hamburger may come, it may not come.
Yeah.
So now I can just enjoy being here. I have not set myself up for where is it? Why isn't it? How come it isn't? And it's not on time because I have this idea about time and we use time like this.
Yeah.
We use time to cause our suffering to go, see, not on time. No such thing. Not on time. It's not going the time, I think. Whose idea of time? Just mine. Just absolutely mine. I just want it now, is really the definition of time. I want what I want and I want it now. So that, yes, you are correct. I don't want to speak to that. I want you to discover it because I think that's the better teaching. Okay, so I want you to get into a comfortable posture. And I want you to find the body that embodies Roshi Jones' two tomes, which is strong back, which is present, mindful, attentive. It doesn't mean rigid, fixed, and bracing against. So don't mistake that. It happens a lot for her. Strong back is present, established, open here. Soft front is the opening. And that's where that self-compassion and compassion is going to come from. Because if we harden up in the spine, we're going to close down the whole backside, if not more, of the heart. And it is our, how do we find these juxtapositions? And we have to feel our way. And so I've got a pretty upright spine and it's actually feeling very good to me. And then I'd like you to just wave it for a second because I don't want you to tighten that up. It's a very bad habit. You can be upright, dignified, noble, and present without rigid. And then I'd like you to take at least 3 nice in and out breaths, breathing in, feeling the expansion of the soft front. Let it get softer. Release on the out. Let it just melt. Do it again. Letting everything in the front of the body soften. We're keeping that pliable and upright spine, inviting our mindfulness, our alertness. And then I'm going to strike the bell and just listening to the bell, letting the bell not only move into the ear door, but the whole of your mind, body, being. It can be understood as a cleansing and opening and the beginning of our good mindful attention. And then we're letting go of the idea, remember, immediately of a fixed breather. There is no one breathing. There is a process, a confluence of infinite causes and conditions right here in our very breath. Can we enjoy each breath, recognizing this unbelievable? Look at all of the universe is conspiring in this one breath. Establishing that noble and dignified posture, mindful, attentive, along with that ever softening, soothing front. No breather, and yes, mindful of breathing. And we can see in the breath, which is why it is such a beautiful object of our meditation practice, we can see that there's nothing you can hold, no grip, nothing to stabilize, make solid. You can't even get the second breath to be like the first breath or the third breath. They're ever changing, like that river flowing. This is a part of the beauty of this life. And as Jean said, this is a part of the liberation and the peace if we can simply be in and with the river. We are the river ourselves. There is nothing solid in you being carried, everything in its change, everything in its morphing, even this idea of you in the river. You might best know yourself as the waters themselves, ever changing, ever in process and motion. Letting that river run. And in some practices, we establish the body and its solidity by checking in, just so you know, on something like the feet or the seat or the hands. We're not going to do that because then we even solidify to that. We make the feet solid. We make the seat solid. We make the eye solid. And this is the all-pervasive suffering, the ignorance of this. And see if we can't breathe right into the flow, just letting it come and letting it go. And seeing if you can notice the changes that are just occurring in this idea of the in-breath. And then the out-breath. And then the open space. And then we rest back in that open space because there is a bit of stability. It's not quite true because, of course, everything in it is changing every moment. But the space itself is, from the science and the cosmology, unmoving. We certainly know the space around the earth, the atmosphere, filled, right, with things moving. But this is the idea of just the vast space itself. We can rest there, letting everything else move. And watch the tendency with the in breath to think there's going to be an out breath. See how quickly we can fall into the pattern of solidity. And then from that out breath, how there'll be another in breath. And so we rest back a little bit from the breath. We don't grab the breath so that we can let it come and go without getting that rope burn. We rest ourselves, easeful, spacious, mindful. No breather, nothing solid in the me. And see if you can't feel that peace, where there is no grip, where there is no grabbing, where there is no solidifying, not inner or outer. There is no struggle. The river flowing. And then we can use the out breath itself for a couple things. One of them is releasing the grip. So, whatever we solidify, this conversation, this meditation, this idea of I'm getting it, this idea of, okay, now I'm going to memorize those 3 types of change, the idea of being a meditator. And we turn towards it, we recognize this is our mindfulness, and then we release in the out breath. And then we can open to sounds, other sensations. And let's watch the river flow in this as well, coming and going, even when it feels somewhat permanent, it's not true. And remembering that there is no me, I am not this. This is not mine. Nothing to carry, nothing to hold, nothing to resist. You let go of the idea even of the hearer. I just was hearing the clock tick, and the eye stepped forward. There I am, hearing the tick. The eye is gone. If you want to stay in the process of change so that you can stay mindful, you can invite rising, falling, or a gentle note, tick, tock, ever changing. Hearing, seeing, smelling, tasting, touching. No one here. And when we notice that we've gotten just a little bit caught as we are going to, just as I did with the Diana hearing, tick tock, we can smile. We smile in recognition, and we feel for ourselves because we're about the business right now of causing our harm, of causing our suffering. Because I will not be a hearer forever. In fact, half the time I'm not listening. Can I let go? There is no thinker. Several people in our conversation regarding my uncle said he's not himself. And I smiled. He was never himself, actually. There was no one. And then can you feel that opening? There is no one uncle, there is no one person, that this creates a space and a room for me to be able to greet whatever is here, this breath. Then I can love this uncle like this. And by the way, I get to grieve the one I liked, my preferred uncle moment. There's nothing to fight. And can I feel for myself? And then, or we can do both. All of us, just like this, who want to keep the pleasant, who want to keep the familiar, who want to keep life in stasis. And then breathe that back into the heart space and see what you notice. And I notice a kind of achiness there. Remember, no achy is permanent and fixed either. No emotion, sadness or grief, is solid. And there is no one griever. Can I be completely in the flow? Can you feel the space and also maybe the fear in the letting go? And that fear's not solid either. And there is no fearer. And if we're noticing an arising resistance, a confusion, a not wanting or wanting, can we notice this too as a moment that is changing? And can we create a little space and room for feeling for ourselves, for inviting compassion or self-compassion in these moments of grip, of fixating, of solidifying, of identifying the cause of our suffering? Is this ignorance? And can you feel the release, the relief? Nothing to cling to. There is no owner of these thoughts, and these thoughts are not solid. And as we notice those little grips, I catch it a little more in the body myself, a kind of grippy, tight, or tense. Contractedness is usually a quality of mind being mirrored. Can I be kind with myself? Can I be friendly? Can I breathe that in, create a little space, little room? When you notice the me, the mine, or the I in its appearance, smile. May I feel for myself and all those just like me who get stuck, who get fixed, who grab. It's okay. And in the recognition, we can once again unclench Soften the body. Breathe a little space into the heart. Feel for myself. And others just like me who know this suffering and this release. And then letting go of any technique, any method. We're not going to hang out. We're just going to rest in that open space. All things are impermanent. All things are conditioned, made up of infinite other things. There is no me to blame or to praise. And then we simply rest in peace. May I have peace. May you have peace. May we all have peace. May there be peace. So any questions? I think if there isn't anything pressing, I think I want to go to the Kindle for a minute because there were a couple things there that I think are probably worth a review. Stillness can be scary. Yeah, if you're looking for something to hang on to. Stillness can also be abiding peace when we're not in the grip. Also, the incorrect belief that something, everything should be, yeah, we read that. It's all true. Yes, the RAIN method is a very essential part of this. Always happening, always opening, accepting, allowing. Yes, who suffers? No one I, me or mine. I'm going to switch over for a second. Let's see if I can't pull this up. It is in Kindle. So if you've got your book, it might be not a bad idea because we're just going to look at a few things at the end there. Here we go. Yes, I think it is true. He has a lot to say. He's a scholar, and I don't think it's necessarily easy. I don't think his languaging is easy necessarily, but I do think we can break it down. I don't want to go over that central partless particles. That's where I think, you know what he means. Everything can keep being broken down and continues to be broken down, and it gets smaller than anything you could ever fathom. And that's good enough. But I think a lot of people got twisted there. What is our mind the self? I think that's where I wanted to. Is our body the self? This is where I wanted to look. So then I'll hook us back up if I can to Zoom. See if we can catch this. Kindle, there we go. Okay, so can everybody see that? It should have come up. Yeah, it came up. I'm going to go back just to see. Self, two kinds of selflessness. Lynn got lost. This pink is what I was looking at. It says, the truth is that all phenomena, both the suffering and the freedom from suffering, or nirvana, are just like the moon reflected in the water. They appear while lacking inherent existence. They too are not permanent. I loved that because Joko herself had said to me, if you meet anyone who you think is enlightened, be worried. Be worried. Why? Enlightenment, what? Nothing fixed either. Peace, nothing permanent fixed. What is it? A confluence, including your own heart mind in every breath moment. And so as there is not only suffering, right? That's not any more fixed, solid, stable. That's us cleaving to it. There is no inherent fixed or permanent heaven, a place to get to and reside in forever, right? And yes, can we create that this moment? Yes, in our openness, acceptance, allowing, love, and compassion. As a result, it says we are drawn to consumer materialism. We buy as a way of solidifying. We love to arrange the deck chairs on the Titanic, right? It is a habit of ours. It doesn't mean you don't get to enjoy the chairs, but you also don't go, I need this to be okay. I need this to be happy. I don't want to go into, I didn't see anything here that I thought was about no self. I like this no self of the individual. It says there's no one identity, no one there. There is no fixed Diana. I noticed this myself when I go, wow, I didn't expect that of that person. Like, well, what were you imagining? There they were, being like that. In that moment, nothing fixed, solid, or stable there either. But I was like, yeah, I didn't expect that. Or that was surprising. Or that's one of the ways we can see that we've come in with an idea and we're solidifying the idea about who we are, who that other is, and mostly creating difficulties because we're not recognizing often our similarities there, which are much larger than any differences between us. We're noticing what you're not like I thought you were, you're not like I thought you should be to me. This is a biggie. So be watchful of that. This was the Nagasena story, and the story goes that he kept saying, well, is this real? Is that real? Is this me? I just did that with the hand, right? What's the hand? Where's the hand? Is this the hand? Is the knuckle the hand? Is the nail the hand? Is the cuticle the hand? There is no such thing as a hand. We made that word up, by the way, just so you know. That's not even, it's called a billion different things in a billion different places, and there's nothing solid permanent about that either. And then we realize that we have a tendency to fix an identity to this body, right? It's very difficult not to do because it looks pretty stable and solid. It's walking around with this, so it appears. And then we fix something onto it. The bad news about that, of course, is that we don't realize that in that partless particles conversation, it says we are exchanging more than we are separate. That I'm more Libby and Libby's more me than either of us can see by a long, long mile. And it doesn't even have to do with just being related. And it does. There's a truth in this as well. In fact, somebody just the other day said something to me like, boy, that's your sister. And I was like, thank you. How nice is that? Well, you guys have some similar qualities. Maybe not just out of history, maybe not just out of genetics, maybe not just, right? There could be any number of confluence, including, says the Buddhist teaching, karma, all that had come before birth that we can't see and even know. And of course, according to the Dalai Lama, Libby could have been my mother in infinite lifetimes. And in fact, the suggestion is to regard her as such, right? Not to push the thought away, but to regard her, right? In this very way. And I think that would make us kinder, wouldn't it? So the body's not us, the mind's not us. This so-called self cannot be found anywhere. It is just a projection of our, he said, deluded mind. I would just say solidifying mind, which is all of those things. But here's the partless particles part that say the particles are moving more than you can even begin to recognize. You think you're sitting, and we understand in the particle form that there is as much of us moving, even when we think we're still. So these are just some of the ways they're trying to open us to the ideas. I think emptiness, I don't want to go over that today. That's part of the Heart Sutra and the Diamond Sutra, and it says something like, there is no this, there is no that, there is no this and that, there is no not this or that, and it says land nowhere. Let's use that idea, land nowhere. And he did it with existence. There is existence, there isn't existence, they're both existence, there's neither existence, there's both and neither. This thing goes on endlessly. I have never found it very interesting because what is he saying? Nothing to land on. Nothing, not in these ideas of permanence. And then nirvana is peace, which I think is beautiful understanding. And then we're going to go on to talk about faith, not as a set of beliefs next week at all, but as a cultivated set of qualities. And often the number one antidote to fear that requires our bringing this idea of everything changing, nothing fixed. We fixate to create fear. You have to believe something's coming and that you know what it is, which is really crazy. You couldn't possibly. Remember, I still don't know if I'm going to make it to coffee, but I could do two things with it. I can fixate on, oh boy, I get to go to coffee, or I can fixate and make delusion out of maybe I won't. And what if I don't? And what if something happens? And then we construct and solidify those things as well. But we're going to be looking at that next week. Faith in Buddhism. How's that sound? That will feel like a more workable a chapter, by the way. Okay, I think we're ready. Any questions, any comments about this? I think we're going to get into the flow. Remember, it just takes a little while, especially with a writer with a particular quality and sets of voices. And remember, we're not going to solidify that either. Like going, this is going to be a hard book, because it will not be true. There'll be parts that are very familiar um, for us, and there'll be parts for each of us that may be a little less for a minute till it's more familiar. Lynn, do you want to say anything? Because we have 3 minutes before the prayer about Philabelli.
Sure. The slots are food slots are still open for anyone that wants to donate. I've had a couple of messages this morning, so thank you to those who are volunteering. And it's next Thursday, October 16th. So we hope to see you there, whether you can bring food or not.
Yes. Yes. Please sign up. It just makes Lynn feel good.
I know that's the goal of this.
That's really the whole goal, is making Lynn happy.
Yeah.
So I love that idea. Just for Lynn. And so, get yourselves organized around that so that we can be participants and enjoy each other, which is it's a real opportunity for that as well. I don't think I'm looking at Jim to see if there's anything else for the upcoming. I don't know that I see anything else. We will be in the garden on Saturday. The weather is changing, so it is a little cooler in the garden. So I think Al is getting the heaters down here just in case it's a little extra chilly for anybody. You will wear a jacket and then want to probably take it off, which is part of being in autumn. I can't think of, I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I'm not making too much contact with what that might be. I know the Philabelli is number 1. I can't think of anything. Can anybody else? I don't.
My birthday's Wednesday.
Well, that must be it, Dennis. I'm sure that was thank you. That was what I was wondering what it was the whole time. That's what it. Dennis's birthday on Wednesday. We got a whole half a chocolate cake over here, Dennis. So we would love to share that with you. So
Okay.
come
I
on
love
over, get that cake, because there's a lot of cake. It's this tall. It's crazy, and it was delicious.
Save me some.
I definitely will. We will have it. We're going to say the Bodhisattva prayer now. For those of you who know it, please say it on mute, only because it jostles some of us. And if you don't know it and you'd like it, let me know. I will send you my home screen where it is at, and you can make it your home screen or a photo opportunity. And so if we're saying everything's impermanent, everything is particle, there is nothing solid, stable, what would be the point of a prayer? It would be to send it out in its particle, wouldn't it? How lovely. Nothing solid, fixed, stuck here, stuck in me, stuck in this heart mind. It just particling out like this fine mist that I'm looking at this morning. And wouldn't that be lovely for it to touch all those things? Okay, so bringing our hands to our heart if that's comfortable for you, leaving them resting in the lap. Some people open hands for a prayer. There's no right way. Remember, we're not stuck in a fixed model. See what feels available right for you. I'm going to leave my hands open today. Let those particles fly all around into more particles and more particles. May it be a guard for those who need protection, a guide for those on the path, a boat, a raft, a bridge for those who wish to cross the flood. May I be a lamp in the darkness, a resting place for the weary, a healing medicine for all who are sick, a vase of plenty, a tree of miracles, and for the boundless multitudes of living beings. May I bring sustenance and awakening, enduring like the earth and the sky, until all beings are freed from sorrow and all are awakened. May we all have happiness. May we all be free from distress. May we all have ease of being. And may we rest and dwell in this vast, open, and infinite space, ever changing. What an opportunity. May this practice be of benefit this very day. And may it continue as we look towards change and where we are fixed, and smile. And then open with that self-compassion. The beauty of impermanence, if there is such a thing, is the ever-expanding potential of this heart. The ever-expanding potential of this good heart. Thank you all so much for being here and practicing with me today. See you on Thursday. I think Greg's here. And then see you on Saturday in the garden. And I'm in a pumpkin mood. So I think I got a pumpkin something kind of happen in my head there. I heard there's something called pumpkin cheesecake, and I don't know why. That was sounding pretty good. Let's see if I can whip up something. Be well, everyone. Please read chapter 2. I will send out chapter 2 notes by today's Sunday. I need a little time to go over that more thoroughly, but I'll send out notes by Sunday. All right, everyone, be well. It's
Thank
wonderful.
you.
You're so welcome. Thank you. Wonderful to see you all.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Robin.